Risto-Matti, Simontaival alkışlarınızla sahneye gelecek.
Good morning to all. My name is Risto-Matti Simontaival. I come from Abloy. I represent Abloy International. And today I'm going to talk a bit about the high security for data centers in overall. Not too much about products, but more like what affects and how we are doing and dealing with that. Before we start, a bit about the company, Abloy in figures. We are about 990 people, and out of that, 230 internationally. We have our physical production facility in Finland, and also software facilities in Poland, for example. Our business currently is about 60% international and exports, and the rest is domestic business. And in the international business, we mostly operate within the professional end-user sectors, for example, data centers, critical infrastructure, military defense, border control, governmental facilities and such. We have a vast portfolio of products, and that's at the moment roughly 33% of the business is mechanical based, and then the rest is digital solutions or electromechanical solutions. This is our international presence. So we have presence in nearly 100 countries, and we have 8 our regional offices in the countries mentioned in the slide. But just to mention now that we are in Turkey, we have a local office here as well. But that's also the fact that we have been doing the business for more than 100 years. So we have gathered a vast footprint already. Then, one important part to understand is that we are part of Abloy Group, which means that we have own operations in more than 70 countries as the group, and we have more than 60,000 employees across the globe. And as of 2024, we had 13.2 billion euros of turnover. So that's sort of like the ground of the company that I come from.
Our daily goal is to create more trust, safety, and security across societies around the world. We do this by offering industry-leading security and locking innovations.
Yeah, you do. And by making our job easier, you guys are actually saving lives.
We are committed to premium experience. That means premium products, future-proof solutions, and dependable human-to-human service.
You also know how to keep trouble away. And our water clean. Cheers.
By combining our digital and mechanical expertise, we provide greater peace of mind for people and businesses all over the world, under any conditions.
In our line of business, to have that peace of mind, everything needs to work like a charm. You really don't want to be here when the train comes.
We are dedicated to constant innovation and adapt to our customers' changing needs. By engaging with our customers early in the design process, we ensure our locking solutions meet their requirements. We learn from each other and find solutions together.
With your help, we can keep our data, operatives, and the whole nation safe. Isn't that right, Zulu?
Yes. As an AI, my whole existence relies on the physical security of my home base. So I'm thrilled to be protected with premium security measures.
As part of ASSA Abloy, we help billions of people experience a safer and a more open world every day. And that's a premium experience to us. Abloy, for trust.
And that's one thing that we're good at as well, creating fancy videos. Anyhow, but that's sort of like now the groundwork for the company and sort of the basic that we are a premium high security brand, and that's what we are, and that's what we want to be in the future as well. So that's really, really important for us. Okay, then to the topic of the day, what affects the data center security? Obviously, it depends on multiple factors, and obviously I have only 20 minutes of time, so I cannot go through all of them. But just to go through some of them, It usually depends on the data center, kind of if it's owned by the customer, or if it's leased, or if it's a multi-hub spread across the country, or perhaps across multiple countries. So that means that they will have different needs. If I'm a leaser of a data center that I only have my own racks in there, then obviously I'm mostly concerned about my own part of that data center. So therefore I want to have the audit trails for the part that really makes the difference for me. Then again, if I'm an owner of the whole data center, then there is these layers of security that I need to be in charge of the whole facility and all of the layers within the data center. So therefore, I will need a much, much wider portfolio to cover all that. And I also want to be aware of everything that happens inside of the data center with all the players, with all the subcontractors, all the leasers within there, and all that. Then a big part of the data center is also the legislations and the regulations. And that means that, for example, within the EU, we have the EN standard of 15,600, which sets the ground of how the data center should be built. All of the layers, what are the bases, and what is allowed in which layer and which is not. And obviously there is the equivalent ISO standard, the 22337, if I remember correctly, which basically has the same things within it, but more on an international standard level. Then obviously, when we go to different parts of the world, there are different regulations in terms of using cloud services. If we can have an access control system within the data center that is run on cloud, or if it has to be on-premise. That's something that we need to take into account as well. Then I will talk a bit more about it in the coming slides, but there is also a factor that within the data center there is a lot of people coming in and out. A lot of customers, there is a lot of subcontractors, there is a lot of changing workforce. So that is something that really affects the security of data centers as well. Then, if you happen to own multiple data centers and you want to manage them in a controlled way within a hub or something like that, so you don't necessarily have somebody on the site all the time, so you want to be able to control them from a central location. So that gives another layer of affecting the security of the data center, since you don't necessarily know who is there and why the person is there. And that brings us to the challenges. So, as I said, number of visitors, subcontractors, how do we manage the access of those? And what is the reason why these people are within our data center? How should they get in? Internal crime, I think I'm quite confident to say that this is by far the biggest risk for data centers, is internal crime. And it might be intentional or unintentional in a sense that somebody could unintentionally leave the rack open or something like that. That's unintentional, but it's still harmful. But that brings the challenge that we need to know if the rack is open or not, if the door is open or not, and who has gone through it, and who has the access to go there. Then obviously, given the standards that I mentioned before, that creates a strict safety and security standard that we need to follow. So that's something that is also hard to reach if you don't have a wide enough portfolio. Then we have a large number of different systems. You might have HR systems, you might have access control systems, you might have CRMs, whatever. A lot of different systems, and those need to work together seamlessly. And that's also something that we have thought a lot, that how can we integrate these systems so that you have a holistic view and situational awareness of the whole facility, taking into account all the subcontractors and all the visitors and all the stuff that it is in there. Within the situational awareness, there's also the big factor that comes to data centers is that it's how do we detect anomalies? Why is that person trying to go through that door, or why is that person walking there even though he only should have access to this part of the building? Why is he there? And that should always raise a red flag that what is going on? And I think in terms of data center security, that's really, really important, since I think we all know here that the data centers are growing rapidly. I think alone in Finland, we have 135 data center projects ongoing, which out of, I think, 40-ish is already actively being built. So that means that data center and the security of the data centers is becoming really, really important. Obviously, all of our data is stored there, so at least I personally don't want my data to be spilled over the internet. Now, this is part of where we talk a bit about the product, not too much. But the thing is, as I mentioned, we have a lot of digital access solutions, purely keyless solutions, electromechanical solutions, and so on and so on. And then by combining all of that and selecting products that really, really, really fit to the need of the customer, then we can create the holistic view, which then benefits you in terms of operational efficiency, situational awareness, obviously sustainability, and gives you the possibility of remote remote access control. And I think one of the most important things about access control is role-based access control and access management. And obviously that is something that has been there for a long time. It's not a new thing. I think it's just we have done it in a really smart way. And that really, really helps you. In terms of the operational efficiency and sustainability, they go a bit hand in hand here, since, for example, with our solutions, you don't need to go and get the key from somewhere. You don't need to go to the security guys and get the key to go somewhere. But instead, the access can be provisioned to you remotely. So you might have your electronic key, as you can see in the screen, or you can have your mobile phone or another device that can be granted the access right in a really easy way that you don't need to go anywhere. So basically, you save time. You don't need to stand in a rush hour to get some key from somewhere. That also means that you drive less, which means that it's more sustainable. And that gives the possibility for the data centers to think about, okay, now that we have the EN standard and the ISO standard, that means that there are layers within the data center, as you know. And for example, in some of the areas, some of the regions, you are not allowed to bring your own mobile phone or any mobile device to the core of the data center, right? So that means that in some cases, you might need to have a mechanical key. So for example, you enter the facility, you have your digital key, you can get into the building, and then there is a key cabinet or some where you can also have the access to, and then you can get the physical key and you can leave all your belongings, and then you can go and do your thing that you were meant to be doing within the data center. But this is, I think, the beauty of Abloy and Abloy, that we can combine the mechanical and digital security quite easily. We have mastered that trait already. So that is the beauty, and within the possibility of combining all of these products, you can gain all the benefits. If you go only for one solution, you get only part of the benefits, so to say. And that's also a great thing in a sense that we belong to the Abloy group, which means that it's not only Abloy, but it's the whole Abloy group, the offering that we can use. We can combine the offering from ourselves and the sister companies from different Abloy companies. So what do the solutions offer? I think all in all, it's simplified process for the access management. How and what is the easiest way for a person to be able to get the access right? With the minimum hassle, because usually hassle and complexity creates risks. I don't know how it's in Turkey, but in Finland there is a lot of detached houses. And everybody has a mechanical key. And the thing is, I can guarantee that almost 75% times in Finland, if you go to a resident area, you can find the key within the 15-meter radius from the door. There is a spare key somewhere, because it brings too much hassle to always have the key, or there is a risk that you lose it. But now, if we can minimize that hassle, the process, the easiness, then the workforce and the employees will not take shortcuts, because those shortcuts are really risky. And that brings to the second point, the easiness of granting the access right. It can be as easy as if you have your HR system and it's integrated to our access management system. Once there is a new employee registered to your HR system and they are assigned a role, okay, you are subcontractor for something, or you are the security guard for this facility, then you automatically gain the access rights that are meant to be for that role. And of course, then there can be deductions or increased access rights if needed for that. But that's easy. You don't need to go and hand the key out or something like that. It's done in software. Then, in terms of the integrations, one really, really important thing is the sort of how do we manage the subcontracting of the facilities? And how do we know when a subcontractor needs to be in the facility? Well, usually it's done by ticketing, right? In many places there are ticketing systems. There is a problem, we create a ticket, and that ticket is processed by somebody from the subcontractor side that goes there and fixes the problem. But now, with our solutions, what you can do is that you can actually have the access right limited to the ticket. So if there is no ticket, there is no access. And if there is a ticket and it says that you need to be there 10 o'clock in the morning and you have 2 hours to do your job, that's the only time frame that you have the access. You cannot go there before or after. So that also minimizes the risk of somebody losing the key and then you have to rekey everything or something like that. If they keep the key or never return the key, it doesn't matter. They will not be able to use or utilize the key anymore after the time that you have assigned to the person. So that gives us the full visibility, transparency, who, why, where, and when. And that can be also read history-wise. You can have the audit trail, and you can go back to years if you want and see who has done what. And obviously, it reduces the downtime in case that we can prevent some incidents from happening. This is an example picture of a really simplified data center, just to give the idea. So here we can see that for the lobby here, we have a digital key, which means it's your mobile phone. And you can only get that once you're assigned the key. You cannot get in if you don't have that. And then we have an example of electric lock there that leads to a common facilities, offices, stuff like that. It is not that critical. And then we have our click solution in the data racks, which means that then you can get the audit trail from everything that happens in there, who has opened the lock and when and where. And then you can have the mechanical part of that as represented here as the backup energy supply, the generators, that you can get with mechanical key whenever you need. Even though everything goes down, you don't have anything, then you can always get into the backup generators and put them on. But anyways, within the click system, for example, you don't need to have constant power. It's depending on your setup how long the key is valid. So it can be actually valid for like a week if you want, and then there is no problem with any electricity shortages or anything like that. So it doesn't require constant power. So this is the wrap-up, so to say. The reason why I'm speaking with high confidence of our products is the fact that we have done this for more than 115 years. So we started from the mechanical steps. There was a guy called Henrik Eriksson, something like that, that came up with the original rotating disc cylinder. And from there we have evolved. We have evolved into the electric locks in the early 70s. And fun fact, actually, there was a electric lock that was found operational from 1979, and it was actually, I think it was last year that it was replaced. So it's high quality, premium brand with high security. We have our sort of global presence with the local knowledge. So that's why we like to have people in the regions that are local, that understand the local legislations and all that, so that we can fully comply and operate in these countries. We have developed our products in a way that they are future-proof. We always try to think a few steps ahead, so that when we release something, we can guarantee that it will be valid for a long period of time. We have our support that runs from Finland and also partly from Poland, but mostly in Finland. And that's also something that is really, really important for us. So if there is a problem with our products, we can guarantee that you will get the help and you will get the expertise to help with everything involved in that. And then we have our vast distributor network that then can help with the installation and the planning of the project and so on. That was it. Now, I guess we have 3 minutes, so if there is any questions, I'm happy to take them or answer them. That was no questions. Okay, anyhow, we currently don't have a stand in here, but you are welcome to reach me or anybody from Abloy for any information. And also, as I mentioned, we have the Turkish office here as well, so you can reach the guys from there as well and get it in your native language, so to say. Don't need to speak English necessarily. Okay, thank you very much.